Quad City-wide coalition around many issues, not just neighborhood issues, and he helps found and then later is the first leader of Quad City Interfaith, 1987 to 1989. At that point, Joe goes away during one of those early years to Gamaliel, national organizing group in Chicago, teaching people how to do what Joe already knows. It's postgraduate study for Joe, and Joe meets this guy there called Barry Obama. He's a newbie. He's the new guy. Smith said postgraduate on how to organize, and Barry Obama is his class, first class. Of course, he goes by a different name now, and there's Barry at the board. Okay? So yeah, Joe's in class with the president, working on organizing. In 1989, Joe was diagnosed with brain cancer. It had been there for a long time. It had grown deep into his brain. And while they operated on it, they couldn't get it all. And it came back, and it came back. And for the next 9 years, he was progressively debilitated until the end, in 1990. And so he died at the Kavanaugh Hospice in West Des Moines, Iowa. It's a picture of one of his sons in the last days. Joe Smith. All right, I'm a little over. Okay? So we're going to look at another guy now. Another story. I met John right about, let's see, where are we? I met John right about here, before this building was here, on the tennis courts. On the tennis courts. He was a senior in Assumption. I was a freshman here. Somebody, mutual acquaintance, introduced us, and we played tennis a few times that year. I didn't think much of him. He didn't think much of me. Just some gangly kid with left-handed kick serve that was difficult to return from Assumption. Who knew who he was? This is him. This is him. This is his Paul McCartney days. His Beatle days. Okay. And this, you can see it even better here, right? John was Mr. Everything in high school, where Joe was the average Joe, okay? John was the big man on campus at Assumption. President of the National Honor Society, debate club, student government. The teachers loved him. Yeah? Yeah, Captain? Big time, right? Everybody loved John, okay? John was the guy you could be. He didn't part people that liked him and didn't like him. Everybody liked him. He had a way of doing that. Same group of guys influenced John that influenced Joe. We did this once. Same issues. I'm going to go through the Ambrose years quickly because John came into his own after this Ambrose, not during. But John was active in stopping local parentis. John was the inside guy. John went to student government. He got elected to student government. He served on a number of boards. He worked inside to make the changes. We were outside making the changes. And we were all friends. What's the problem? Oh, there we go. This is a fun picture. This is the only known picture of Joe and John and I together at a student demonstration. At one point, St. Ambrose and Marycrest thought they would merge. We thought it was a terrible idea, but if they're going to merge, we should have a voice. We should have a say. It shouldn't be just up to the board of directors. What a goofy idea that is. Students should have a say in this. So we organized for it. And we put a committee together. And this is at Marycrest. They held a meeting. We weren't invited. We showed up anyway. Yeah, they must have. It was slow. The invitations were slow in the mail. Must have been 60 or 70 students there. This was the president of Marycrest at the time, Vaccaro, some slimy guy out of the East Coast. And they were trying to keep us out. We were trying to get in. Here's Joe Smith. Here's John Kiley. And here's the weird-looking Randy Richards. So that's the only known picture of that. Okay? Those negotiations collapsed about a year later. And thank God that they did. And we were there to help. Unfortunately, it wasn't really seen that way. John was also active in the anti-war movement as more of joining in and following. He was, from the beginning, a conscientious objector. And here's a picture of John at a demonstration in '72. Kathy tells me John thought this would be a good idea. He took his aunt to this demonstration. Several people ended up getting arrested. Was his aunt thrown in jail? No, okay, kept his aunt out of jail. That was good. Okay. This is Kylie here. This is Kathy Kirschbaum, mayor of Davenport at the time, who was also a member of Quad Cities for Peace. And so she's a little distressed. A lot of people ended up doing civil disobedience. Her police chief had to arrest us. I wasn't there. I was someplace else. And so had to negotiate that out. John was not arrested at that time. Just for grins, same demonstration. These are guys that are going to be arrested. Here's Joe. Okay. Different approach, yes? Different approach. At graduation, I read, Kathy gave me the file on this. You had a draft number, it was a lottery, and if your number came up, you had to go to Vietnam. Okay? John's number was 45. There are 365 days in the year. His number was 45. He's going. They're calling up at 120 or 150, so about a third of the people who are born, they're calling them up. John got through a very difficult process, won his case at the draft board, and was classified 1-0. 1-0. Conscientious objector. Not an easy thing to get in those days. And so his draft card reflects that. He becomes a conscientious objector. He's placed at Family Resources at Annie Whitmire. It's counseling for youth who had been and become wards of the state. It's a residential setting. It's tough work with kids who have been abused and have become ugly themselves. Very difficult work. Mind-numbing work. Brutal work. Physically tough work. Our youngest son worked there and was often beaten and bitten in an attempt to try and get the kids to do what they want. He still has scars on his arm from bite marks from those days, and John suffered also from the physical abuse there. Okay? In 1974, John joined his old friend Randy Richards at the Rock Island County Youth Services Bureau. I was already working there. This is one of 3 jobs John and I worked together. I was already working there. There was an opening where I barely got in. People really didn't want me to work there, okay? I barely got in, all right? They carried John around on their shoulders after interview, okay? That's the difference, okay? Me, they were trying to find a door. John, they're going, yay, John, what a great guy. Rock Island County Youth Service Bureau, we were advocates, street workers for youth in trouble. We served as liaisons between kids in trouble and the court system, schools, jail, family court, all of that. It was supposed to be an alternative to incarceration, dropping out, addiction, etc. John worked the Moline and Coe Valley area. I worked Upper County, East Moline, Silvis, Fort Byron area. The first director was Ray LaHood. Ray LaHood hired me. Ray LaHood is now the Secretary of Transportation of the Obama administration. Another interesting circle being closed here. Ray was there about a month after he hired me, and then he left. I don't think there was a connection between those two, although there are rumors, okay? You did what? You hired who? All right. This is my only picture from those years. John is no longer doing the Paul McCartney imitation. He's now doing the Frank Zappa. Okay? And I'm doing Grizzly Adams. Okay? We're moving the office from one location to the other. And this is, you know who this is? He's on campus. He's a faculty member.
Redheads.
Who?
Oh, I don't know.
No. It's Michael Amelia from the School of Social Work. Amelia, Kylie, and I worked together at Youth Service Bureau. After this appeared, this is from a photo that then appears in the newspaper. Okay? Youth Service Bureau moves offices. Youth service workers, Randy Richards, Michael Amelia, John Kylie move the office. It generated a very angry letter in the newspaper. Okay? If it's no wonder the youth of Rock Island County is going to hell, look at who's helping them. Right? And John clipped it and he kept it for years. I couldn't find it. And he memorized the name of the guy. And every once in a while he'd drop that name on me. Hey, remember when Frank so-and-so said this about us? I do, John, thanks. Yeah, the youth of Rock Island are going to hell because of us. We both leave CETA after a couple of years. John goes to work for the Comprehensive Employment and Training people in Scott County. I'm the outpatient director of drug abuse in Davenport. One day John calls me up and says, hey, listen, I was there about a year and a half. John says, hey, listen, do you know anybody that wants to do write grants and do resource development and work here? And I said, I would. I'd love to come work with you. He said, really? I said, yeah, great. So, these are not the days of everybody doing things by the book. John's close friends with the director, Neff Wells. Neff's philosophy of management is, hire people so I can take a nap in the afternoon. It was. And run it from my back porch. And Neff saw John as that possibility. When John told him, I got this other guy that can come here and do it, Neff brought me in, interviewed me for 5 minutes, and said, you're hired. Okay? Because he knew John and I were going to do it. He knew John and I were going to do it. So, we ran programs for youth. He was program youth manager for a while. He was program operations manager. And at a certain point became program director. We did programs for unemployed and economically disadvantaged people. We had a budget of over $23 million. They gave Kylie and I $23 million to oversee. Right? We had a $3 million public service program. You know, socialism. Using government money to put people to work. Gotta be communists. Large staff, including a huge summer youth program. We used to have work for kids in the summertime. We used to employ 400 or 500 kids in the summer to the city. Nothing now. Zero. Zip. Nada. Zilch. Do you get the idea? Nothing's happening. And that was in Scott County. It was a city, county, state, and federal program. When John and I got there, we were pretty young. And there were two older women there who were really intimidating the rest of the staff. Remember these? Their names were, I'm not going to say their last name, but their name was Noreen and Alta. It turns out that was the name of my mother and her sister. Very weird. Very weird. And so when we got there, we were trying to make social change. We weren't interested in being desk jockeys for some bureaucracy. We wanted this job so we could change stuff. So we'd make it better for unemployed and disadvantaged people. We had ideas, we had innovation, we had clever ways to do things, and we wanted the staff to get involved in doing it. And Noreen and Alta kept saying no. And every time they said no, they'd quote some regulation. And so I remember this specifically. Kylie and I went to lunch, our favorite place, McDonald's. And I said, damn it, John, we got to stop this crap right now. I said, for the next week, we're just going to study the federal regulations here, inside and out. We're going to be able to quote chapter and verse at the end of a week, and that's the end of this crap from these two ladies. We were known then, I know it's hard to believe, as the boys. Well, the boys are doing this. The boys want to do this. The boys have this idea. Okay? That was a long time ago. And we succeeded.